Hey y'all, it's time to put diplomacy back into the public square, where differences don't have to mean discord. My name is Chris Brown. I'm a pastor, former Goldman Sachs wealth manager and financial planner. And y'all, I just might lose my manners. But that's okay, as long as I'm minding my manner. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of Minding My Manner. I'm your host, Chris Brown. We have a very special guest with us today, Keith Reed Jr., Pastor Keith Reed Jr., excuse me. And we're just going to be talking about this intersection between Christianity, culture, faith and culture. There's a lot of ways in which, you've grown up as a pastor's kid, me growing up as a deacon's kid, being so churched. Amen.
Yeah, praise the Lord.
But also just growing up as regular people.
Yeah.
Like, our lives are not all about the church.
Yeah.
Like, we're Christians. Everything about us is covered in the blood of Jesus. Amen. But we also have regular interests.
Yeah.
We have regular
we
lives.
like coffee. Like
we had regular bullies, or we're the bulliers. Like,
Yeah.
we grew up whole regular.
Yeah.
While all at the same time grew up all church.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talking about that, tell me a little bit more about where you grew up, like how you grew up. Let folks know a little bit more about like who you are.
Wow, bro.
Yeah, man.
Man, first of all, thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Love to have you here.
Yeah, my name is Keith Reed. Born in Philly. I would say grew up majority. I would say like 75% or 60% Jersey.
Okay.
The other 40 here in Philly. My dad, family, everybody was here.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'd say that I grew up in like two different worlds.
Yeah.
Maybe even three.
Okay.
Like you got church, then you got Philly, then you got suburbs.
Yeah.
So you don't really sometimes like as a kid, like you don't really know who you are because you're around this group of people a good amount of time, then you're over around with this group of people around amount of time, then you got church.
Yeah.
It's like where does this all intersect?
You was code switching like crazy.
Listen, bro. What? Listen, like the lacrosse polo shirt.
Yeah.
Okay, the slacks.
Yeah.
And then come to Philly, you gotta put a do-rag on.
Don't forget the buttons.
Yeah, with the buttons, bro. Then you get the church, you got the white shirt, black tie.
Yeah.
Like, so it was a lot of going on. A lot of things going on.
That's a lot.
But yeah, man, I'm here. I'm in the mix by God's grace. He's got me in a lot of different spaces, in the creative space, fashion space, industry things, church space. I'm here for all the things, bro.
Tell me one or two of your biggest formational moments, the things that kind of like shifted like your mentality or where you thought you were going, or it could be for the good or for the worse. Like
I think two things. One, what shifted it for the worst, but ended up being for the good. Was when I was a kid, there was a big fight that happened with me and my friends, and at that point, this is when I realized that listen, thug life was not for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, thug life was just not for me. It was painful. It was like, it wasn't a thing. So experienced that, and I was just like, this ain't the vibe.
For sure.
Then go to college. Went to college for one thing.
Yep.
I felt like one morning God just like took all my superpowers away from like what I wanted to do, and was just like, you're not going to do what you want to do. You're going to do what I called you to do.
Yeah.
And so that trajectory, that change has been an interesting journey from then till now.
Yeah.
And being able to be in the spaces, but then like almost like be in, but not of the spaces that we're in, you know, trying to be in the mix of that aspect.
Absolutely.
But yeah, between those two things, bro, it's like, and it's always like a higher calling, like you get pulled a little bit more, asked for a little bit more of you.
Yeah.
So that's the type of time. I would say those are a couple of things that really are changing the game of things.
For sure. So it's actually, we kind of have some crossover, and I had a college journey too. I had a full scholarship to Morehouse College. Full scholarship.
Yeah.
That's tuition, room, board, everything. Food, amen. Sets. But I just tried to get involved in so much stuff. Like, it wasn't even like I went off and lost it. It was just, I just went off and I just wanted to be a part of everything. Like I was so sheltered growing up in a way. Like, you know, we both grew up going to churches in West Philly and like down the bottom, but I'm over in Cheltenham, like still in like a diverse area. But I had a world of different experiences, you know, myself. And so when I got down to Atlanta, I'm like, whoa, what is this? You know, Black Mecca. So I'm trying to be involved in student government, step team, glee clubbing on the choir, like sports. Like, I'm doing it all.
Wow.
And just lost sight of, you know, why I'm down there. You know what I'm saying? And so like God had to take me out of that situation, and you know, by God's grace, still got a degree.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Amen to that. Yeah.
By God's grace, still became a professional.
Yeah.
You know, made a little bit of money. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
you know, by God's grace. But you know, it's amazing how, you know, God will take, you know, our this resume that we think that we have, will take it into a space, and then he'll totally disrupt whatever we think, you know, we have going on. So that was my story. But when you were telling yours, like, I couldn't help to feel like it really reverberated.
Yeah, come on, Doc. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So, what are some of the things that you think are, well, let me put it this particular type of way. So there was a celebrity who recently got indicted for some things that he did or allegedly have done with hundreds or thousands of bottles of baby oil that were found in his crib. And I'm just wondering, you know, can we even make Diddy jokes? Let me ask. I don't even talk about like is it going too far? Because I think we talked about like, can you go too far with Diddy? So let me actually just bring it back.
Yeah.
Can we make Diddy jokes? Like, is that even in like acceptable territory, or is it just like, yo, you can't say that. We can't go there. Like we can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like what is that about? How you feel about that?
Man, I'll say this, bro. It's like as for me, as tempting as it is. I mean, because I mean, like especially with the internet, like the internet will never lose.
Yeah.
Like it will never lose. Yeah. As tempting as it is, I always have to remind myself, is that, you know, it's cool to joke, and I'm pretty sure people can take jokes, but it's like, we have to understand, like, these are also still people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't just go for blood. Yeah,
like reckless.
Yeah, can't just go reckless on people, bro. You don't know them, like, you know, but then, you know, there may be a point in time where he may, I don't know, be connected to a funding situation that needed to happen. And like, you know, now you feel like a jerk because you went crazy on the internet, and now you're out of luck. So
it's crazy, man. Like I don't like you said, like you might get a little good chuckle. Like, you might get a little good chuckle. You know what I'm saying? Like,
there's a line.
I would never be the author of a Diddy joke.
Yeah,
you know
okay,
I'm not putting it out there. For it. I'm not creating the content.
For sure. Yeah.
If I'm real, I might just have a little chuckle, a little laugh.
Yeah.
Maybe I might share it with my wife. Be like, yo, babe, this is funny.
Yeah.
But I'm not putting it. I'm not originating.
Yeah.
Now, am I complicit in the Diddy joke if I laugh at it?
I mean, it's hard not to laugh at things that are funny, though. Like, you know, like, that was kind of messed up, but it was also funny, you know. So
I mean, but at the end of the day, like, I do think, you know, that we should be, like you were saying, like, we have to be sensitive to people. Like, do we almost have to be more sensitive to people we don't know about stuff we say because of how it can be taken, you know, out of context, or just like we're contributing to, you know, a culture of, you know, cyberbullying or all these other different types of things. Like, what do you like? I feel like for me, like, it's very important, like, whatever I put on social media, that it's not going to be misinterpreted. Like, some stuff you can't help.
Yeah.
But as much as it depends on me, like, I did everything to kind of think through, you know what I'm saying? To be like, I'm doing my best. This to make sure this isn't misrepresented or whatever. So we just gonna have it, let it flow, post it, make it. Because I don't think we should be in a situation in which, you know, we should tiptoe around everything that we're putting on social media. Because it's just like, how we talk. We just have conversations. We converse with people. We engage with folks, and we're just our natural selves.
Yeah.
And by being our natural selves, sometimes we're gonna, mess up some folks' categories, shake some categories. But at the same time, if you had enough time to think about it, and that is the difference with social media, right? You have time to think about stuff.
Yeah.
You have time to like actually take inventory of what you're about to put out there into the world. And so like before you actually hit post or save or submit or whatever it might be, like, did I actually go through all the ways of thinking about what the implications of this are? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You ever put something out on social media you regretted putting out?
Yeah, bro. I mean, I think at some point in time, like I think that we all have at some point, whether it was offensive or it was like something that we just didn't mean.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think as far as like when you talk about like, do we need to be, should we be like more sensitive when it comes to talking to people? I think it's just more about also just be more aware.
Yeah.
Like you said, like, when you're drawing, like, when you're crossing the line, and because God will tell you, he'll convict you in it, and so if we choose to go further, then it's like, all right, now you have whatever comes back at you, like you're pretty much warranted for all the things.
Yeah.
But I mean, as long as we're aware of like what that is, I think we'll be just fine.
So I think it's safe to say, y'all out there creating the Diddy jokes, y'all are wrong.
Yeah, wrong.
Stop putting out the Diddy jokes.
Funny, but wrong.
Even though it's funny. It can be funny. Yeah. And like the crossover with that and like us as, ministers and pastors, it's just like if you're delivering a sermon.
Yeah.
Don't you gotta do the same thing in some ways?
Yeah.
Like you had time to prepare the sermon, to sit in the sermon and all those different types of things. And like, I don't think we can afford to be sloppy in the pulpit. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely cannot.
What'd you think?
We definitely can't afford to be sloppy in the pulpit. I think that the pulpit is probably arguably the scariest place for anybody to be. Personally, it's like, man, it's like every time I have to be in that place, it's the scariest thing.
Yeah.
The scariest thing, bro. And it's like, that is when I truly, like, if I'm ever at any type of submission, like, yo, God, this is what, like, I'm hiding behind you. Because if I say something crazy, they're not coming for you. I mean, it ain't really coming for you. They coming for me first. Yeah. But then they'll use you. This is why I don't like. Yeah. So yeah, like we definitely gotta be on our P's and Q's.
But if you standing on that text,
you
know what I'm saying?
For sure.
If you standing on the text,
stand on it, 10 toes.
If you are premeditated about what you are saying, think it through clearly, what you're going to say. That's not to say some stuff ain't going to slip in.
Yeah.
But we have to come to the text with an authentic humility.
Yeah.
That we're not going to. That we're not going to end up saying something that's totally different than what the text is saying.
Yeah.
And that could offend somebody.
Right. Yeah.
And I feel like, that there's some crossover with, how people approach, social media, because that is your platform. Yeah. Everybody has a platform. Yeah. That is their pulpit. That is our pulpits. Like everybody almost has a pulpit now. Yeah. And especially as Christians, you got to use your social media platform like it's your personal pulpit. Yeah. In some ways,
Facts.
So I've anyway, I mean, I'm getting too much into my bag.
Listen, listen, go deeper. Okay. Go deeper, man. Because I mean, you said something like it's like when you talking about like not standing on what the context of the word is saying.
Yeah.
But then it's like also what you said, man. Sometimes it's like the word is offensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like you gotta stand on that. Be like, yo, listen, if this is where you feel like God leads you to share, stand on
100.
You gotta stand on it 110%. Like, 100. Cause you ain't saying he did.
Yeah. So. And that's what you can always go back to.
Yeah, right. I ain't say this.
Like,
this is not me.
Yo,
like,
I'm called to preach the whole counsel. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The word of God. So I'm going to lift up everything that from the word of God that he's called us to preach to. And I'm not going to back down from it. That doesn't mean I have to put it out there for you because I might offend some of y'all. But guess what? I'm offending you for the right reasons, not for the wrong ones.
Yeah. And it's in love too.
Yeah. So. And it's in love. And so as long as we, couch and stuff in love, that we're being very conscious about, what we're actually putting out there. Like we can kind of lean on this, even if we do make a mistake on how we deliver it. Yeah. Or the specific words that we use and what we were saying. But that's hard. That's hard work.
Yeah, it's hard work.
That's hard work. But it's intentional work. And that's kind of what this podcast is all about. It's like, yo, how are we being intentional? You know, with everything that we do, like if you using your social media and that's your personal pulpit, be intentional with that thing. Like if you're a pastor and you're on the pulpit, like be as intentional as you can be to not make sure it's a Saturday evening, you know, explosion. In which you waited to the last minute to, you know, to write your whole sermon. You know what I'm saying? Like prior proper planning. You know, if it's the same thing that somebody in the NFL does or NBA does, watching tape or film, practicing moves after moves. Like there's an intentionality to life that I think a lot of us get away from. Where if we're returning to that, we can feel have a lot of integrity about how we went about life. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
110%. So, one of the phases that you find, you know, yourself in, you know, right now is as a younger pastor. You know what I'm saying? You've been pastoring for how long? You been pastoring?
Man, that's a good question, bro. I mean, shoot, I've been in church for a long time.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe like I've been speaking like youth pastor maybe since like 2007.
Wow.
Like between 7 and 10.
All right, man.
Yeah,
you coming up on 20.
Listen, Doc, we're gonna learn today. We're gonna learn today. Look.
Yeah. So that's what's up, man. That's what's up. And I know that's been a bit of a journey, like a continuum journey for you in terms of, you know, being a pastor's kid, like a mega church in Philadelphia. Many people coming in through the doors, people leaving through the doors, coming in, staying for a long time. Some people staying for a short time, creating havoc with all the baggage that they bringing in. Amen. So you've been on this, you know, journey being the lead pastor's kid and having to deal with a whole bunch of the ins and outs. Talk a little bit around where you are at, you know, kind of right now in terms of lessons learned, those different types of things.
Yeah, bro. Lessons learned, bro. Lessons learning. Lessons learning. I'll say this. It's like, you know, being, it's wild. I think that the biggest lesson is I wish I would have said, my yes would have been sooner. And I wish that I was more intentional with my yes. From the beginning. Like, 'cause I think when like God calls you to things, it's like, it's like one of those things where it's like someone calls you, you answer the phone. They're talking to you, but you're not responding. You know what I'm saying? You're just sort of kind of like, I gotta see.
Right.
You know, but you answered the phone. You know, versus like, yo, this is what's going on. This is what I need you to do. Like, all right, bet. Like, let's do this. Let's do this. So I think that like in those moments, I think that's probably like the biggest lesson. And also the next lesson, bro, it's like, not relying on myself as much. Thinking that I have to do everything. That I am going to be, or that I guess, I mean, being a PK, it's like people to ask you like, oh, are you going to be like your dad, or are you going to do this and that, third? And I did everything I could to sabotage me not doing what it is that I'm doing right now. And so even in those moments, it's like it's God is continually showing me like, listen, like you are going to have to rely on no one else but me. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to trust no one else but me. Like, it's not gonna be how cool you are. It's not gonna be, you know, because you have a gift of like connecting with people and vibing with people, but it's gonna be my spirit, my power that's gonna lead people to what it is I'm trying to take them to. So
you know what's interesting that you talked about that you did everything that you could to run away from you know where you are, you know, right now. Talk a little bit more about that.
Man, self-sabotage is a thing. It is a thing, bro. It comes in different forms. It comes in procrastination. It comes in perfectionism. And just overthinking things. And I think that for a long time, it was everything was, I mean, a fear kind of a base thing. 'Cause it's like you see, you know, what like I see what like my father has, how God is able to use my dad in different capacities. It's like, wow, like seeing his journey from this to this, you know, and it's just like, wow, like, and what am I supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes seeing that made me be like, well, you know what? I actually don't even want the weight of, you know, the expectations of people. So I'm actually just gonna probably do my own thing. You know, I'm gonna venture off and I'm gonna figure out like what I think this is what happens. We lean more into our passions versus like the call in which God has been calling us to do. So granted, like a part of my passion, I'm still in that space. Like I'm a creative, so like I'm everybody is, but like I'm in that creative space as far as like fashion, clothes, TV, those kind of things. Right now, I know that I have a gift in it, have an eye for it, and I think that so I leaned more into that versus the call in which he was doing. So over time, I just leaned more into it, and then ultimately, it's like, yo, God's like, actually, you're not going to do as much as you think you're going to do unless you do what I called you to do first.
Yeah, so. No, that's good. That's good. I think for me, what was really interesting is, I think growing up, I would say at my church, at my home church, we never really encouraged like young preach. Like there was a huge gap. Between like preachers who were like 45 and 50, just getting licensed, and then like there was me, 27,
wow.
You know, and like it had been so long since a young person had been like licensed or preached at my church. I don't think that's the way it had been the whole time or whatever. It just the church just hit a certain phase, and so for me, I just didn't really have that example. You know, of a young preacher, pastor, you know, at the church that I could really model myself after. And so when I was kind of sensing, you know, God's call, I didn't really have anything to connect it to because I hadn't really seen it. You know what I'm saying? And so one of the things that I think, you know, held me back is that I probably got first sense God's call when I was like 17, 18. But I didn't go to seminary and really start, you know, trying to pursue God's call as far as, you know, a pastoral calling until like 26, 27.
Wow.
And so it was almost 10 years that I was, you know, kind of running. And during that time, I was kind of acting up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I started re-enrolled from Morehouse, now at Westchester, was doing the gospel choir, but was also doing, you know, parties and all this other different type of stuff. And so like I was trying to kind of have it all and live this, you know, very blended lifestyle. And perhaps that's part of what God was waiting for me. For me to come out of this double-minded, you know, lifestyle, so that, you know, it's not just about, you know, Chris being nice, or Chris being kind, or, you know, these things that my personality is very, you know, Christian-like. But what about holiness? You know, what about righteousness? What about, you know, dogged pursuit of God and His heart? Like, and those were the things that really probably was a good holding back of me in terms of, you know, me actually going after and yielding to the calling God had on my life. So, you know, it's interesting. God waited out all of that until He introduced me to my wife, until I started seminary. Like all of the best things in my life right now started happening really only after I truly submitted myself to God and his holy, not even just a call. It was really more so about just my love and pursuit of Him. All the best things happen after that. Speaking of my wife, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know you don't have a, you know, wedding ring, you know, on your finger. You know, so talk to me more about that. You know, a lot of people wear,
That's
you know,
funny.
pastors.
That's funny.
You know, and got, you know, a significant other. So what's up?
Man, it's, I mean, it's a lot of different things, bro. It's you know, it's, you know, about becoming the right man. I mean, it's one thing to have like your idea of like where you see like where God may be taking you, and it's like, yo, I want to be that, you know, before I do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's about, I think it's that plays a part into it. It plays a part into like, yo, actually, maybe you don't need to be that all the way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know, just as long as you're on the journey to
100%
becoming.
know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Becoming is a thing. Yeah.
So then it's just like, man, then it's all it's about like, dang, like, well, what about the stability aspect? Like, yeah, you can support yourself, you can support this, you can support that, but it's like the level of like you want to do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, dang, I don't want to do it unless I can do it at this level.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, man, it's just like, and then like this understanding, you know, that like, bro, like you're number one, you're not going to have it all together.
Yeah.
And number two, like when you stumble upon that person, hopefully they have a level of understanding that maybe they understand what path you're on, what journey God had you on, and it's like, yo, I want to rock with you on this, and I also want to rock with whoever that is on whatever they got going on. So.
Yeah. Hey, man, when I first started dating my wife, probably within 6 months, I had lost my job. That it was strong. Well, I lost
strike number one.
I lost my job. The job that I got 3 or 4 months later, I was getting paid like 60% of what I was getting paid for the first job. And so like I'm talking about, so my first job, I was getting paid 37. So the new job, then I was getting paid like 24. So that's not a lot of money.
Yeah, dog.
And I'm trying to date to for the purpose of I'm trying to court. For the purpose of marriage, you know what I'm saying? Like I told you, I'm on my holiness tip. By this time, you know. And so, you know, by God's grace, you know, I have the right one, you know, and you know, we're in a much, you know, different place, both of us, in terms of, you know, career and those different types of things. But if I was going to let, you know, those things that seem important to our culture, kind of get in the way, I would have never moved to the next level with her. So I think what, you know, was my encouragement with my wife is I let my commitment to her and to what the Lord wanted really determine the progress of the relationship. Instead of kind of reading the tea leaves from what, you know, culture is saying is significant. And letting that say, okay, you're not ready for this, you're not ready for that. Man, there is, you know, a pastor that I know who left the city of Philadelphia to go to a Midwest city. And when he and his wife got married, they didn't have like coins to rub together. They had their reception in the church fellowship hall. Like it was not a very expensive wedding at all. But what they're doing, how they're pursuing God, where God has brought them now. Kids, like how I'm seeing God is faithful to them. Like God will make room. You know what I'm saying? Not just for the gift, but God will make room for a relationship too. Like if the because relationally, if that's where we find our treasure, that's where I think God will, and if it's the right relationship too. So if we pursue the right relationship with, I think, someone that God wants us to be in relationship with, He'll provide all the things that are necessary in order to sustain that relationship and make sure that it flourishes. So that's the kind of thing. That's hard. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that.
Yeah, bro. They don't. You know what's crazy about that? Is that, I mean, it's the I guess the context or the big idea of what you were sharing is just like, man, it's all about seeking ye first. The kingdom, bro. And all these other things, man. And it just took me back to like these different stories in the Bible where like there were people saying, oh God, I want to follow you. And it's like, or Jesus calls them like, yo, come with me. But they say, first, let me go bury my dad. First, let me go. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, if you really understood like what the kingdom was and who it is that you're actually following, you wouldn't be worried about your not that you don't care, it's disrespect, but like you would have a totally different perspective and honor of like, yo, I actually, if I need to do this, you know what I'm saying? I need to do this, you know, so.
No, that's good. You preach it now.
Yeah.
Man. You know that'll preach, man. You get on. So with regards to you preaching and pastoring and all these different types of things, like there is a certain level of that I think ambition that pastors have, and maybe even have to have in order to effectively pastor. Now, when I say ambition, I don't mean it necessarily in a negative way. I mean it very much in a neutral way, or potentially neutral, in that if you're establishing a church, hopefully you're establishing a church that will see, people come to Jesus, lives transformed, that you'll see people holistically in their life, then submit each and every area of their life to Jesus Christ, so their spirituality, their mental health, their financial well-being, their marriages and their children, that all these different aspects, are all being subsumed under the lordship of Jesus Christ, right? And so, but in order to do that, in order to create a facility to establish all that, there's certain wants or desires that you have as a pastor that you kind of have to submit to the Lord. But how do we balance that, man? Like what is that? Because to do that costs money. You need maybe a building. And you need people in the seat. So all those things are kind of necessary in order to facilitate that. But how do you not get focused on that? Keep things in the right perspective.
Man, that's a great question, bro. I think that a lot of it's so easy for us to get caught up of the picture of what cool church looks like. What things are in there, what's going on in there, versus like, why are we here? I think that, I like to, like, all the things, whatever the things are, with the lights, band, whatever it is, like all those things are amazing. And I think they're all needed and qualified, like, to be a priority. But also at the same time, let's not, I think it's important for us to not do what we're called to do because we don't have X, Y, Z. And I think that sometimes I would even say, like, even when it comes, like, for me as, like, even as a creative, it's just like, I have an idea of what this big thing is supposed to be like. And it's like, and if it's not that, it's like, do we not do it, but do we push it back until we get that? You know what I'm saying? But it's like, the longer you push it back, the less time you have less opportunity you have for souls to be saved. You know what I'm saying? So it's like understanding, like, you were called for a specific reason, for a specific purpose, before you even knew what you were called for and what you're called to do. Do you really have the gall and audacity to say or make a decision of when you're going to answer the call or make these stipulations on what you need to do what you've been called to do?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that, like, that part is a wrestle. It's kind of a struggle. But we got to be encouraged, like, yo, like, this is what you were called to do. So let's lean into the call versus, like, the things.
That's good. So, like, I'm kind of hearing you saying, like, faith is and perhaps what you can't see is kind of a way of leaning out on, depending on, I guess, a human reasoning way of putting things together. In other words, like, if us figuring out how to do ministry becomes easier, or the forefront to us having faith in the God to promote our ministry, then that's when we run into trouble. Is the production being first instead of faith in God being first.
Right. Yeah.
So it's almost like, well, we don't need to lessen our dream or our vision for the type of ministry, or how, whatever our picture of ministry that God gave us, through vision. We don't necessarily need to lessen that. We may actually need to think bigger, or in a different, more dynamic way that causes us to go into an area of faith instead of an area of, oh, let's figure this out.
Yeah, nah, for sure. Yeah, nah, for sure. I think that like with that, it's I think it's something that maybe I may have heard my dad say, and it's like, man, whatever your priority, if your priority when it comes to leading people, starting a church, whatever in that ministry capacity, that scope, if your priority isn't the word, then if you build your priority on the music, if you're depending on the music, if you're depending on the lights to keep people in the seats, and to get like you got the whole game messed up. You know what I'm saying? Because now if you're relying on that, if you don't have it, maybe now your word not going to be as strong because you're banking on something else to carry it. You know what I mean? So yeah, Doc.
Yeah, man, that's a hard thing to navigate, because as accolades come, and as kind of your quote unquote light shines brighter, how do you then keep it from thinking that it was really about you and what you're doing, and not really what about God, what God is actually doing? Because he is using a person.
Nah, that part. That part.
The person is being used. And we can't forget that.
Doc.
There are names in the Bible, like people's names are recorded in the Bible. Like in church history, people's names are recorded. Like we know who's done what. God has let us know that people have done that. He's used specific people to do certain things. But how, like, navigating that shine? Like, what do you think? So let me say this. What do you think you wish folks did better, pastors, Christian leaders did better, to redirect spotlight away from themselves and to Jesus?
Oh man, that's an interesting question. Because it's hard to say. I think it's hard to say sometimes, or to pinpoint where that person's heart is when as they're working, as they're doing ministry, whatever. But I can say that what I think that as a collective of leaders that are in that position, we need to continue to humble ourselves for sure. Because what'll happen is we will get so caught up. It's easy to get caught up in how many people come to Christ and how many people are coming to the conferences. You know, it's easy for that to creep in because it's positive. It's easy for it to be masked as like an ego boost. You know what I'm saying? Or be put as an ego boost, but masked because it's positive. You're bringing people in. And so now you get this idea of like you are this and that. Now you start demanding different things. You know, now you start demanding different things. To each his own. You know what I'm saying? To each his own. But however, I think our heart posture continually needs to be checked on what it is that we're doing and why it is that we're doing things.
You know, what's in this age of the megachurch age really got started when you had baby boomers, who represented such a big population, started entering into their peak earning years and those different types of things. And so you had a big population that was becoming increasingly Christianized, that they needed places to worship. And because so many people were earning more money, able to afford, a kind of a middle income lifestyle, they needed churches and other places that looked like what they were able, you know what I'm saying? So you were matching those different types of things. But now we're almost in a society in which we're less Christian, right? In terms of name. You know, there's studies that say, we still, in terms of people who are very committed to the faith, it's about the same amount of people. But those cultural Christians, or those nominal Christians in name only, are certainly, lessening. What we have to do now in terms of how to cater to a generation of folks who are now skeptical about Christianity because it maybe became about the lights.
Yeah.
Because it maybe became about, you know, all the other different types of things.
Yeah.
Like, that's our challenge, bro.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like,
we made the
there's
monster.
a whole, like, bro, we made Christianity into this producible, replicatable product.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now we have to unpack all that in order to reach a new generation of folks.
Yeah, Doc. Sure do.
I don't know if we found that model yet.
Sure do.
Or maybe there isn't a model, and we just need to keep it so flexible.
Yeah.
That it's not about a model, but just really about the people who it's supposed to be about in the first place. That's what the church is.
Yeah. I think it's fluid, bro. It's like liquid, like water, bro. It can, or clay. It can change. It can mold. And maybe we just continue to just be transparent in things that we do. Because I think that transparency, it that's a big one, you know, right now. Like we don't want the fluff. We want the real. You know, even though we may not be able to handle it all, but we say we want it. You know, but transparency does bring people.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
We can be transparent. We can be vulnerable. We can have a church that genuinely addresses what people are skeptical about. Instead of shying away from it. You know, I think those are kind of some of the building blocks for how we usher in kind of this new phase. Of church. You know, for our generation and younger. But that's hard, man.
It is very much so. And you know, one more thing. I think that we need to, as a church, it's good. Like, we've been known more for church's therapy over church is for instruction. You know, and for people who want to know how this works, you know, versus like the therapy aspect, we need to give the instruction more kind of a thing, especially for us. Like this year, we want to know how things work, like what's going to give you results, like all those type of things. So, but I think that that's a very, very important tactic.
Move from church being a drug to church being a school or institution that helps grow people instead of just throwing band-aids. You know,
man.
So
man.
I'm with it, bro. I mean, thanks for stopping by today.
Yo, thanks for having
me. We had
great
conversation, man. We're gonna have to have you back. Unpack some more some more stuff.
I'm here for all the things. You know what I'm saying?
all the things. Well, that's all the time we got for today on Minding My Manner. Make sure you find us, follow us, hit that subscribe button wherever you get dope podcasts, Apple, Spotify, watch us on YouTube. Until next time, I'm Chris Brown here with Keith Reed. Thank you for joining in today.